Hello and welcome to the Morningscape podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined here by DJ Mitchell as we go through the Tuesday, January 13th NHL Daily Fantasy Slate. Let's get into it.
You're saying they're looking like an idiot.
Well, is that any different than normal?
This is the first time I will admit was unbelievably wrong.
DJ, how you doing? How was your weekend?
Up and down. Up and down's probably the best way to put it. Some good, some bad, some happy, some sad. Sabres won. Most teams lost that needed to help them. It was good. Yeah, I don't know. Overall successful, but the main reason for success was Showdown NFL, so that's sad. How was yours?
Bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're on.
I literally lost everything on Saturday. Like I went 0 for 15 on bets. Not kidding. You know, the same game parlays, the whatever, the shit, the boost. I bet every boost I had, it all lost. Every single bet. Every slate, showdown, late slate, main slate, football, all just a loss. So yeah, horrible weekend. Not having any fun here.
When does the fun start?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah, we
it
have
starts on Tuesday night.
Yeah, well, you know, in the Quarter Arcade, where we'll be having a great time. Yeah, we have 10 games here, a lot of back-to-backs, so we just got to stay on top of things. 4 of the games start at 7 on Tuesday, so there's at least going to be some of the back-to-backs cleared up, but at lock, I'm guessing we're going to be without at least some crucial pieces of information, as I think there are 5 teams or 4 teams, I think, in the 7:30 or later games that are on a back-to-back on Tuesday. So, like, truly just not going to have a lot of information there. So it's quite interesting. I don't really know what more we can do besides try to preview things the best we can. But shall we start with the games? I guess that's not really a question. Here are the games. DJ, do whatever bullshit you're going to do.
I sound like Neil Armstrong. That's a good start.
It's survivable though. It's not nearly as bad as when we literally can't hear you because your microphone doesn't work.
What's weird about it is it feels like it's on both ends. Like I hear you and it sounds bad, and then you played the theme and it sounded terrible, and then I'm talking and it sounds terrible. So that's a bad start. So I honestly, I think I'm going to try to mess with this for a minute. Do you just want to go through the games instead of me saying nonsense, sounding like an idiot?
Perfect. Columbus and Calgary leads us off at 7:00. Great little Twitter video of the Gaudreaus with the Calgary guys that are still around, like Rasmus Anderson and whatnot from that era. Tampa and Pittsburgh, Jake Guentzel revenge, obviously. Vancouver, Ottawa. Ottawa's revenge on the media. I read Ian Mendez posted something that I retweeted, was super interesting about the Ottawa situation from their PR perspective. He's now like the president of communications or something there, former beat writer. So found that interesting. Montreal at Washington. Montreal on a back-to-back here, so just keep an eye out for anything of note. Detroit at Boston, same deal. Detroit on the road on a back-to-back. We're just not really sure what's going to transpire here. Carolina at St. Louis. I don't think there's anything there. Well, there's Will Carrier, but, you know, I don't think we care about Will Carrier. Edmonton at Nashville. This one's interesting because I believe Jake Wallman might be back. Edmonton's on a back-to-back, though, so we may not know until, 6 o'clock if he gets activated from LTIR or whatever he's on. Islanders at Winnipeg. Toronto at Utah. Utah went with brand new lines today, so interested to pick DJ's brain on them and sort of think about them myself here. And Dallas at Anaheim, which Dallas on a back-to-back as well here. I believe Jason Robertson is a SoCal resident, or, he grew up there, but I could be wrong. Well, let's just check that real quick while DJ is in the Netherlands or wherever he is. Yeah, Arcadia, Florida. So there you go. LA. So a little homecoming trip for Jason Robertson this weekend. In order to keep things moving, I will just highlight the main three expected goals teams here. Columbus. Oh my God, I didn't even notice. I didn't even mention Columbus firing their coach today. So big deal there. Rick Bowness in. Breaking news. If you did not see that, I am happy to have broken that for you, but we do not know what Rick Bowness has in mind for this hockey program. Carolina, St. Louis stands out, and then Edmonton and Nashville stands out. There's a lot of green here still, a little more red, but I think that's more of a matchups thing than a league wide trend. And the only Corsi matchup is the one involving the Flames. The other ones are pretty bad, which makes sense considering the Flames are the only team that tries to have fun here, but are very bad. So, all right, let's get through the. Let's do this, starting with Calgary. Still don't know where DJ is, so that's fun. I hope he had a good idea. I'm sure it wasn't a good idea, though. Calgary, we're expecting Huberdeau, Kadri, Farabee, Coronado, Backlund, Sharangovich, Zari, Frost, Klapka, Lomberg, Kirkland, Williams, Stromgren. Last game was against Pittsburgh. They won, so that I'm expecting that lineup to hold, though obviously be on the lookout. DJ, welcome back. We're talking about the Calgary.
How do I sound? Sound good?
You sound great. You sound fantastic.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I decided I was just going to mess with the microphone and make it work. How do I feel about the Calgary Flames? He begins me against the Evanson-less Columbus Blue Jackets. Fired their coach like an hour and a half before we started. I don't feel good. I never feel really good about playing the Calgary Flames, and sometimes I do it and I never win. So yeah, probably don't. One of my only sharp takes on Saturday was, I mean, honestly, was it more luck than anything, was like, this Connor Zary guy feels like a pretty good value, especially on a small slate. I mean, scored in back-to-back games. He's a factor, but not a major one. And like, that line sucks. The top line is minorly interesting, but it sucks. If your best performer is Mikael Backlund, that things are not going well, I just have zero interest in playing this team. I mean, you could squint and try to play Backlund, Coronado, Sharangovich, but I'm not going to join you on that mission.
Yeah, I have something in my head of Morgan Frost getting absolutely run over. And then he didn't play the final 10 minutes of the game. However, the entire fourth line and Adam Klapka both did not finish the game either. So, like, there was some version of benching going on. I doubt Frost is injured, but I don't, just for some reason that sticks out in my mind, in my memory from Saturday. I don't think the only thing we're on the lookout for is Zane Parekh. He's still termed day-to-day due to upper body injury, so not likely that he draws in, but it's worth noting for when he does, because he will be 2,500 on that slate. And obviously Calgary's not really fighting for much of anything at this point in time, given their how their season's gone. So I expect that he won't be playing 12 minutes a night.
I think the weird part about the Flames was they went from this like feisty. I mean, honestly, they kind of remind me of what Vancouver's looked like as of late, where they were shooting a lot, and so you saw where the upside could come from, but like they just stopped doing that. It just feels like dire straits in daily fantasy. Like they were shooting a ton and couldn't score, and now they're not shooting and they can't score. So I don't know how it wins. Seems like a bad combo. Yeah.
On the other side, Columbus. Here's what they rolled out last game. Obviously, just mentioned firing of Dean Evison. So Rick Bowness will likely put his stamp on this lineup. What's noteworthy is Kent Johnson just got back on the top power play, and last game they scored a power play goal, and then they scored again to win it in overtime on the power play without Kent Johnson. It was actually Voronkov with the other three guys who don't suck. So Kent Johnson's status is the main guy I would be on the lookout for. 3,100 for him if he's in the top 6 and on the top power play still. That's gonna be a good option. Interestingly, despite the terrible season he's had to date, his shot rate's a bit better than last year. It's like a 10% improvement relative to the league average, which is not nothing. So he's a guy with all the talent in the world. It's just a matter of scoring and doing good hockey things, and maybe coming out of Dean Evanson's doghouse could help him, though, with Rick Bowness and Cole Perfetti and whatnot. I don't have extremely high hopes, but something nonetheless. So any wishes for you as far as the Columbus lineup and maybe what you expect to see?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously hard to say without seeing the new coach come in and do what he's going to do. I think like the biggest thing to keep an eye on is really the top power play, as you're already alluding to. It wasn't working, and they went to something that I can't imagine sticks. I watched a decent bit at the end of the third. I watched the Utah game. I was going to say, why do I have Colorado up? They played Utah literally last night. I was watching the end of that game, and I mean, early on, they looked really good. They were producing a ton of volume. They won in overtime, but it just seemed like something was wrong. I don't really see things getting that much better immediately, but there should be an opportunity that just hasn't been seen yet that gets into fruition. Matejchuk was hurt in the game. Did that not mean anything? He's day to day, I see now, but he only played a couple of minutes. Yeah, we just don't know.
Yeah, they played it back to back. I just left as it was, and
Okay, you probably mentioned it, but I mean, the second power play isn't any, it's not an interesting thing for them anyways. Like Werenski is going to be the guy when he's out there. So
I mean,
if you're stacking them, it's through him. I kind of just think this game is maybe a stay away with a one-off piece. Like if Boone Jenner is on the top power play, like I could see myself clicking the button regardless of his line mates.
Yeah, I mean, given the pace, the shot attempts, Provorov, Severson, with or without Matejchuk, both of those guys I think are very much in play. Both guys are around 9-10 expected fantasy points per game last 10, and between 8 and 9 actual, which for that price is totally fine. I know Sissima's been playing Provorov endlessly, and these last couple slates I've been like, all right, I'm gonna alpha in Zach Werenski, and you'll never guess how that worked. Provorov, I think, outscored him in both games, but at both of those guys, because of the matchup, because Calgary is just a bunch of chuckers and they play with this up tempo nature. Columbus, I don't think, is gonna become a chip and chase, slow it down type team, especially not overnight under Rick Bowness. So. I think these two guys are actually genuinely interesting. And otherwise, Adam Fantilli's in a bit of a rut right now, but he's been just as good as Marchenko from an expected standpoint. Yeah, Marchenko is getting all of the, getting all the goals, all the fantasy points to go with it. So I like Columbus a lot. We just got to keep an eye on what actually transpires here under their new coach. Let's move on to Tampa at Pittsburgh. Tampa coming in on a back-to-back. They rolled out the exact same lineup on Saturday, or on Monday as he did on Saturday. So Kucherov, Point, Gonsalves, Hagel, Sreli, Gensel, Holmberg, Gord, Gergensons, Paul, James, Bergstrand. Defensively, Mosier, Radish, Destu, Chernak, Carlisle, Crozier. DJ, any thoughts on the fighting Nikita Kucherovs?
I mean, that's Nikita Kucherov for bust. Even on a back-to-back, I'm certainly interested. I think I've said it almost every time, and I'm not really a big believer in this Pittsburgh Penguins team. They've been up and down. It seems like every night's a little bit different. With Malkin back in the fold, they just feel like a more complete team, and on a back-to-back, it feels unnecessary. But a common thread on this podcast is going to be back-to-backs, especially for star players. So you could get away with it. I don't think you need to get cute with it. Like, he's glued to Point, and Paul Point isn't really shooting. Has upside being next to Nikita Kucherov. Like if Kucherov is the guy you had to have at 9,400, that's coming with 3 points. I mean, Braden is probably coming along for the ride in some way. If it's not with scoring, it's with also getting a lot of points and probably the power play going crazy. So I don't think it's a favorite of mine, but I think it's definitely more interesting than I think I'm more interested than most of the field. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, against Pittsburgh's been pretty solid. They lost a weird one to Boston yesterday. It was a 1-0 final. They lost to Calgary, but seemed like they controlled a lot of that Calgary game from a just like, hey, we are trying to score and we can't standpoint. So I don't know. Tampa on the road on a back-to-back, Kucherov 9,400. We're looking at a slate without Nate McKinnon, so that's thing number one. But Edmonton's here. We have Pasta at home here against a back-to-back Detroit team. So there are ways to spend your money. And we also have Jason Robertson against the Anaheim Ducks on a back-to-back as well with Austin Matthews. But Kucherov 9,400 doesn't feel fantastic. Stacking him point and say Radish is 21.6K. It's tough. It's tough to get there in my opinion. You're getting 35 actual DK points, and you're getting close. 33 actual or 43 actual between those three guys. So there's at least some ability to argue that the value's there. I just don't think I'm getting to Kucherov over McDavid myself. But we've had this discussion many a time over. What's interesting is in the revenge spot, Hagel, Sorelli, Gensel is 19 or 18.9K. And right away, I'm like, that's too expensive. And then you look at it, even Anthony Cirelli's been good enough to the point where this line's at 36 expected DK points and 34 actual over the last 10. For 19K, like that's not too far off of value. So you might get a super low owned Tampa too, though. Does that mean you're fading Nikita Kucherov? Like I don't see myself spending 24K and fading Hagel, for example, if I'm doing a Jake Gensel thing. So yeah, I do think I would play Tampa 2 over Tampa 1 straight up. And no, I'm not playing Gage Gonsalves. Like, just stop it.
I was never going to be a person to try to convince you to do such insane stuff. Yeah, I mean, like he scored the other night, but yeah, I'm not a long-term buyer there. So I guess I agree with you, but in reality, I don't think I'm going to get to it, unfortunately, for the Tampa believers out there. But good luck to you if you are one. We can scoot over
noteworthy. Vasi starts for Tampa. So if you're a goalie bro, we already have that confirmed.
Certainly not I.
So Pittsburgh. Here's Pittsburgh's lineup. I don't know if it sticks. Oddly, they had Evgeny Malkin playing the wing. I suspect that's because him coming back from a shoulder injury. He's just not ready to take draws yet. So maybe, with an extra day, but they just played a back-to-back. Like, is 3 and 4 really the time that he's going to play center? I don't know. But they had Kevin Hazen, which is tough. Without Brian Rust, Tommy Novak slid up. It's all just kind of a mess. So Raquel, Sid, Novak, Mantha, Mays, Brazo, Malkin, Kindle, Chinikov, and Dewar, Achari, Lazat. Yeah, I don't know what to expect here. I'm guessing they changed things up given they scored 1 goal in 120 minutes this weekend against the Flames and Bruins, not necessarily, the 14-15 LA Kings here. So,
well, that wasn't their lineup against the Bruins at all. So it was Mantha, Crosby, Raquel, Chinikov, Hayes, Malkin, Novak, Kindle, Brazeau.
Novak, Kindle, Brazeau. Oh, okay. Maybe I just.
So it was Mantha up, Novak way down.
Reading? I was reading the Athletics article about the game, so
okay. I don't know. I was watching.
In any case, they were complaining about Kevin Hayes being the 2C here, so I went, oh, okay. I guess what I had filled in on Saturday was not correct, but okay.
Yeah, he was, but the lineup was different. The main, I don't know. I mean, the number one, are you really going to stack against Tampa? I don't know. I mean, you're allowed to. No one can stop you. It's a free country. If you're doing it, I really like. Well, I guess let's first and foremost, if it is Crosby, Raquel, Mantha, or not, which we don't know at this point. Mantha was not in the top power play. It was Kindle who kept it. They didn't score, obviously. They got shut out. They also spent such a massive amount of that game on the penalty kill. They just could not get over them, get out of their own way. It felt like for the most of the game. This iteration of the team, the one you have on the screen or the one that I have here, I don't know what it needs to look like, but I'm not spinning through the nose on Sidney Crosby on this slate at 8,200. That is really expensive. And I really don't see another piece on this team that's like a massive value, especially if Malkin and Kindle aren't together, which they weren't last game. And even if they are, it's like I don't know. I think there's better options than back-to-back Tampa, who just can suffer you, at 5-on-5. So suffocate, not suffer. There we go. There's English.
Yeah, I had Calgary up, and then I looked at the Calgary game when I updated this. So in any case,
first two games,
DJ corrected the record.
Pretty stinky. I guess the one thing I noticed though, I was looking through some stuff, is that Parker Wotherspoon has like 11 blocks in the past 3 games. Just seems to be out there on like every penalty kill, just standing in front of pucks. I mean, it's a punt, but like he is with Erik Karlsson, so there's that like inherent chance that he gets a point. I don't know, something to consider, I guess, as far as punts, but that's all I really got.
That makes sense. The final thing, if Malkin plays with Sid, then that's really interesting, I think. We saw last year Malkin and Sid play together for a bit, with Malkin on the wing, and it was electric. So I'm on high alert for that also. We saw a little bit of it in that Boston game. All right. Vancouver, heading into Ottawa, Vancouver on a back-to-back. Kevin Lankinen should start with Tolopilo starting on Monday. DeBrusk, Pettersson, Linus Karlsson, Garland, Kampf, Besser, Kane, Ratu, Hoglander, O'Connor, Sasson, Ogren. On defense, no Zeev Buium. So Rollander, Hronik, Joseph Myers, and Marcus Pettersson, Victor Mancini. I expect Buium to get back in on the second half of the back-to-back here. I don't think it's injury-related. I think it's just Vancouver being dumb. I don't really know how you excuse that given the way their season's going, but maybe they just thought he needed a break. So the break he gets, we're not sure whether it's Rollander or Hronik on the power play, so keep an eye out for that. That game should be dropping the puck momentarily here. But yeah, if you're playing Vancouver on a back-to-back against Ottawa, well, you really, really, really don't like goalies. And I don't know what to tell you besides Jake DeBrusk continues to be their best fantasy forward. It's been, a couple, 3 weeks now. And that hasn't really changed. His price hasn't moved a ton. So I think you're building around Jake DeBrusk here if you're building Vancouver stuff.
I'm certainly not building Vancouver stuff if that's something you were interested in. I mean, this team just is really bad. There's a ton of injuries. Sometimes that makes me interested in going the top guys are going to see a lot of minutes and this and that and the other thing. But this team also just feels completely dead right now. There's so many options on this slate. It's not cheap enough to play. Just don't play it. No one's good. Everyone's bad. Nothing's, I mean, like if you are going to play it, like you mentioned, I think you maybe didn't flat out say it, but like probably Hronik is just an absolute must. His minutes are high. I mean, the last game was a little bit lower, but they got absolutely shell-shocked. So I think he'll see, 25, 26 minutes. He doesn't shoot a ton, but like can hit a blocks bonus, can get a couple points along, just the players he's going to play with. But I'm certainly not clicking the buttons here.
Yeah.
Back-to-back.
And just frustrating, but I'm keeping an eye on Linus Karlsson's time on ice because even though he's on the top line, he played 11 minutes last game, and it doesn't seem like that was influenced by all the power plays that they experienced and PKs that they had to endure. Like it just seems like Linus Karlsson's not a featured option, which is really annoying because he's been consistent for them all year. And I would like to see him get some more run. But let's go to the Ottawa side, a bit more interesting given they're facing Vancouver on the second end of a back-to-back. And Ottawa gave us new lines today. So Batherson, Stützle, Zetterlund, Kachuk, Cousins, Giroux. Giroux's birthday was either Monday or Tuesday now. I got totally lost this afternoon and went into the Discord and answered a question for today's slate as if it were Tuesday. So now I don't remember whether Claude Giroux's birthday was, is on this game day or whatever. But noteworthy nonetheless that he's now elevated to the Cousins Kachuk line instead of on a shutdown line with Pinto and Amadio. That third line, Ridley, Gregg, Pinto, Amadio, and then fourth line, Cousins, Eller, Perron. First line is 16.2K with 2 power play 1 guys, and the second line is 16.8K with 2 power play 1 guys. DJ, choose your fighter.
I made a big mistake looking up whose birthday it was tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
the best player on the entire slate,
Please
Ivan
just
Provorov,
um,
and then the second best player on the entire slate, Connor McDavid.
no way.
I swear on my life, dude.
God. Oh my
There is
God.
Adam Ginning, who is not playing, I'm sure. Michael Kesselring, who if the Sabres were playing, is like close to returning, but not quite. Maverick Lamoureux, maybe you'll remember his parents making out, so we know what they did to have him. Provorov, Trenin,
Jesus.
Joe Veleno, and Connor McDavid. So
Okay.
I regret to inform myself that I have fucked up on the fucking thumbnail, but regardless,
Tough.
yeah, not Claude Giroux. So we get back on track here. I mean, I'm very interested in Ottawa. Of all the games we've talked about so far, this is definitely the spot. I mean, Vancouver on a back-to-back won't get overlooked. I'm optimistic that it won't end up being like an incredibly high total, but that optimism I have is probably going to end up being unwarranted because I'm sure it will not get by anybody. The Vancouver team sucks. Ottawa is, I don't know. Ottawa sucks too, though. So maybe, but it's a 6.5. Ottawa's a -230. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna get clicked.
Yeah, I honestly, yeah, I in this like in this time you were talking, I was like, oh, I like line one. Actually, I like line two. Actually, I like line one. So clearly this is not a strong take of mine, but I do think I lean toward that top line, Batherson, Stützle, Zetterlund. Reasons why, I don't know. It's not Claude Giroux, and it's not Claude Giroux's birthday, so he's not magically going to fix things. But yeah, Giroux's just not much of a shooter, so that should matter less, I think, when it comes to full stacking a line where his two line mates are power play one of whom is Brady Tkachuk. Like, you're definitely banking on points there more so than shots. But in any case, I think I slightly prefer Stützle. So let's move on to Montreal and Washington. Montreal not expecting any changes, regardless of how this game goes, given they've been very good lately. So Texier, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Kapanen, Demidov. Obviously, the bottom six, I'm not as adamant, doesn't change. Sammy Blais, Joe Veleno, Owen Beck, and Bolduc, Dano Gallagher. Caden Gooley is back. I think we mentioned that on Saturday's show. He's on the third pair with Jack Eyes, so if they do lose, I would expect their lineup change to just be Hudson back with Gooley and then Carrier to the third pair. So all that to say, it's a matchup with a Washington team that I'm not sure what their status is. We don't have any information, but Jake Chychrun missed last game, so that could be a big thing. But any thoughts on Montreal here?
I mean, there's thoughts. This game doesn't really interest me that much either, and like, I think the biggest problem with Montreal is I like Ottawa more. I'm sure that sentiment's going to be felt, but I think as far as the back-to-backs go, this one is at least kind of interesting, especially if Chychrun's out. Like, I don't think Montreal is going to be very popular on a back-to-back against Washington, but this is a Washington team without Tom Wilson and maybe without Jacob Chychrun and maybe without Justin Thorndiff, who might not be the most impactful player in the world, but certainly defensively is. You're starting to really get down to a lineup that just A, isn't great defensively, but B, kind of feels like it needs to push pace in order to produce results. And they just came off a 3-2 loss to Nashville. Not that I think we're kind of more Nashville defenders than anybody, but hard to really defend Nashville too much. I think this is like the second most interesting spot so far. We haven't gone too deep in the slate. I don't know what it is. Like, do I go back to the Demidov, Kapanen, Slavkovsky line as it kind of rises? It's not incredibly fast, but slowly peaking up in price. Lane Hudson feels a little bit too expensive, but kind of warranted in a stack. And then the top line is the top line. And like, Texier has been very, very, very good, even if just at 5-on-5. Like, there's a ceiling there that he continues to find. I could go either way, but do you want to try to convince me?
I'm just posting in the Discord right now. We have brand new New Jersey lines, so check those out if you are worried about the Monday slate. So I was not listening to much of what you said. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think.
Are you going to play this team?
I don't plan on it. If I do, it would obviously be maybe not obviously, but it would be the second line. They've just been so good. I would include Oliver Kapanen. I'm not leaving him off for Nick Suzuki or whatever, because Kapanen's been scoring, Demidov's been setting. It's the perfect scenario, and the expected still just do not match the price. 31 expected over the last 10, 34 actual for just 14K is sickening. So I really like that. And that's all I would do. Yeah, I don't have a ton else to say. When we get to the Washington side, there was an interesting, by the way, I don't expect this to hold. I believe sort of got hurt. There was no update, so I think he's out. Tom Wilson, we don't know the status of. He's, I think, day-to-day. Chikrin, day-to-day. So there's a lot of question marks on the Washington side. I don't have high hopes for this game in general. So Protas from Ovi I think did hold in that game, but it's so expensive. I just don't really see where like a stack of this game really comes in, especially from the Washington side. John Carlson even 6,200, like it doesn't really make sense here. So is there anything you're spotting that I that means I should redo this sheet to their current lineup because oh my god, there's a great value here?
Is there anything that I'm spotting personally? I mean, last game, I really think that it's unfortunately Protas if you're going down this well. He played 20 minutes. He played on neither power play though. What is wrong with him? But Thordiv comes out, so Frank goes up.
He's not very good with the puck on his stick.
Yeah, he's a weird player. The more I watch, the more I'm like, I don't really understand. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna have to wait it out. Frank played 18 minutes in top power play.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
That was like how they replaced Chikrin. It was just like I think they shifted Leonard outside and then used Carlson at the tip and then Frank in the middle.
Yeah, even Frank at 3,100, he has actually been shooting a decent. It is him, and it's just like stupid. But right. I don't know. We can move. They won't really play the fourth line. All the top guys are going to play a ton of minutes. It's a back-to-back. There's an option. We can move on.
Detroit heads into Boston. Looks like Detroit has already scored on the power play against the Canes. Now, obviously,
JVR, who else?
Passed, but yeah, JVR there. So 3,200 JVR power play one on a line with Comfer and Raymond immediately stands out, given now they're in a matchup with Boston. But their top six is Finney, Larkin, Casper, DeBrincat, Kopp, Kane. All of them on the power play, but only DeBrincat and Larkin on the power play one. Noteworthy because Marco Casper has been relatively frozen out of power play work so far this year. For good reason. He's been terrible, but if you like Dylan Larkin on a 12.8K sort of filler line, then this is the spot for you, I think. DeBrincat, Kopp, Kane is a bit more mid-tier price at 16K, and then obviously you could go JVR Comfort Raymond for 12K. But I think I would just substitute in Dylan Larkin if going there. Off the bat, I do kind of like this spot. Boston has been dealing with injuries. Actually, I'm not sure what Morgan Geeky's situation is, but Hampus Lindholm's out. Geeky was like a personal family thing, but then it was all fine on Saturday, and then he was out on Sunday. So I'm not sure what all fine means in that respect. So keeping an eye out for it. Detroit's not been great, but Boston has been terrible, like defensively as of late. Now, setting aside, I guess, them shutting out the Penguins just the other day or just Sunday. But because they've been weak and because Detroit's been productive despite that 5-on-5 slide, I do kind of think that this is a good spot to build around the power play one pieces, specifically JVR at that price. Hashtag revenge game.
I do like hashtagging the revenge games when they're able to be hashtagged. This is another one of those. Just I'm not that interested in that. I think I'm just much more interested in the Boston side, unfortunately, for myself, who is thinking about clicking on them. Detroit on a back-to-back, they've been pretty good, which is the hard part here. But I just don't actually think that the results are going to continue. I mean, coming off a 4-0 shutout against Montreal, and we'll see what
Yeah.
they do against Carolina. Like, I think people could get scared away of a team that really hasn't been unbelievable defensively in the really near-ish or long term. And again, it's on a back-to-back. So I like the Bruins. I'm not exactly sure what the lineup's going to be, and I just think that that's going to deter me away from playing not a chalky Detroit team, but an expensive one and one that's kind of rising in price. So and is very discombobulated, like not easy to stack. So it's going to be a no from me.
All right, I buy that. Not anything too repulsive there in what you were saying about Detroit.
First
I,
time for
I do
everything.
kind of watch them and go like, man, like I don't know, these guys might be good. So there's that. But yeah, they're on the road on a back to back. I'm not gonna, by the way, also John Gibson I think is starting against Carolina, so Cam Talbot should go, and he's been significantly worse, which is great news for my best puck bags. Boston, like I mentioned, we don't know the status of Morgan Geeky. Huznadinov, Lindholm Pasta is certainly their top line, but was I redoing everything just to do that on the time pressure? No, I was not. So there you go. Morgan Geeky was playing with Minton and Steves before he went out, but that was Icy-Mont last game. So basically, their top six is Huznadinov, Lindholm Pasta, Middlestat, Zaka, Arvidsson. Nikita Zadorov led the D-men by a mile in time on ice, especially at 5-on-5. In that sort of late game, shutting down Pittsburgh, he played 25 minutes. Zadorov did. McAvoy played 23 with power play time that Zadorov didn't get. So big gulf there. Icy-Mont, Minton, Steves, Jano, Curly, Kastelich. I don't think there's anything there. So 2,900 Casey Middlestat will be power play 1 if Morgan Geeky's out. That's interesting. Not sure. I don't think there's any sub 3K power play 1 guys on this slate. So I'll keep an eye out, but I can't think of any. So there you go. But DJ, any interest in Boston here, especially the fighting David Pastrnak's with his insane production as of late.
Yeah, I mean it comes and through Pastrnak at the 10-goal game, of course. He was incredibly involved in getting 2 players to a hat trick, I believe. Maybe it was almost 3. Like that team absolutely, raked the New York Rangers, and then they go out and just win 1-0, a simple, easy game. But Kuznetsov is not a guy that I'm normally interested in, but he's playing a huge role, and that's probably going to get a little bit diminished by others returning. I think you could convince me if he's on a line with Pastrnak to maybe consider clicking the button, even though he's basically Gage Gonzalez. I wonder if I don't end up though just being actually smart and saying Pastrnak geeky, like why am I really trying to go, another direction here that just seems unnecessary. Those guys are the entire they vacuum up so many points that I just don't think you need to get overboard on it. And maybe a center to go along that fits into that kind of a stack. Like Geeky's coming down in price. I don't love it, but he's not 7K like he was earlier this season. He is below 6 now, and we know what the goal scoring upside is. So it just hasn't been there. So he's dropping in price, but nothing's really changed.
Yeah, I mean, make sure he plays.
Yeah, obviously, make sure he plays.
Yeah, I'm not positive he's even with the team. I'm not sure if he had to travel somewhere or whatnot.
As far as minimum salary players go, Henry Okaharu is one of them. Playing a lot, playing with Zadorov, not really killing penalties, but could be. But just getting a huge role at 2,500 is of note. If you're trying to find a punt defenseman, I think you could do worse. He's at least shown an offensive upside in the past, and we'll get hopefully some room to control the puck at the point rather than Zadorov, who's mainly there to be a defender.
Sure. That's fine. Let's move to Carolina at St. Louis. Carolina leaving Detroit on Monday, heading into St. Louis. So Carolina, we expect to go Svechnikov, Nick Ehlers, Hall, Stankoven, Blake, Martinuk, Stahl, Jarvis, Kokiniemi, Jankowski, Robinson. I didn't actually get to check warm-ups because it came out pretty late given the ceremony. That is what they went, right? Because there was no morning skate with lines posted today.
I never looked, honestly.
That is what they had. Slavin, Chatfield, Miller, Walker, Gostisbehere, Nikishin. So yeah, all good. Everything you see here is what they started the game with. Back to back. So Bussy starts. Obviously, Seth Jarvis could move up the lineup. Just keep an eye out for how this game goes. But even so, that top line pretty pricey at 20K. It would be 21K with Jarvis there, and the second line is 12K, but they haven't really done much, so they're not even standing out to me. Despite that obvious, tightly correlated good team sort of second line nature, it just hasn't happened for them statistically. And Shane Gostisbehere 5,400 remains very good. St. Louis should be without Broberg, so the matchup looks pristine from like a offense versus defense standpoint. I can't picture what maybe a better matchup, especially with no Broberg. But on a back-to-back, I'm never really a Carolina guy, and this pricing, I'm just not interested in the main guns. So Gostisbehere one-off for me is in play, but otherwise looking elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think this could actually be a spot people really look to. I mean, it sounds like there's a decent chance at least Robert Thomas isn't in for St. Louis. They're already without Holloway. They're already
probably I saw. So
okay.
Thomas is, so I projected him in, but we'll
Broberg out. They're banged up. They're bad. People will look to it. I don't see it. I mean, in reality, this game is basically an X out for me, and it's not because I don't think Carolina is a decent play. It's just not a good play at this price. So probably going to X this game out entirely and move on. But if there's any other, I mean, like if you're going to play Carolina, I think you just play, Aho and Jarvis and like not. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. I don't even have a good idea of what to do. I'm struggling to even think of it. So why don't we talk about another team I'm not going to play in St. Louis?
Cool. Let's do that. So they practiced today. Robert Thomas was not there, but after practice, Montgomery said he was like probable / questionable was, I think, the term he used. And they used a Nick Bukestad in between Buchnevich and Berggren. So I'm projecting that to be top line, quote unquote. Stenberg, Shen, Snuggerud, Neighbors, Dvorsky, Kyrou, Toropchenko, Sundqvist, Walker. No Broberg, so Fowler, power play 1 with Parayko, and then Tucker, Falk, Falk power play 2, Mayu, Kessel. We didn't see power play units in practice, but they've been using Buchnevich, Thomas, Snuggerud, Fowler, or Broberg, Fowler, whatever, plus Jordan Kyrou. I'm not sure if that sticks or not, but new lineup. It's Carolina. I don't think we're getting much out of this configuration, regardless of how it looks. But any immediate takeaways?
Definitely not playing it. Don't really have a ton of takeaways. I like Berggren, but no power play usage. It's disgusting. Stuggerud, I think I mentioned it last time. I'll mention it again. He's shooting a lot and he's getting a big role. And I feel like, when he came out of college, we thought like this was in his range of outcomes to be shooting this much, but certainly a pretty massive uptick. It's going to be a tough, hill to climb again against Carolina. I mean, back to back or not, this team is, does not roll over. I could maybe think a shot prop is in order, bet him for 3 shots might be big plus money. Other than that, no, thank you. All around, this team stinks. They change their lineup every night. It doesn't fix anything. And they're playing Carolina, as I mentioned 7 times now, but I'll make it
8. No Bedard, if you're watching live. What a news night. Okay.
Of course.
Very fun. Yeah. Stuggerud, I mean, he was 2x the college average player in terms of shots per game, 2.5x the primary points per game. So definitely a stud. This is not unexpected that he's been shooting right out of the gate, 31% better than the league average so far this year in his first full season. So he came out late last year, right? Yeah, he definitely did. Okay.
Yeah, it was late last year. Yeah. I was gonna say, wait, was he in the playoffs? But that was literally last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Indeed. So, the Edmonton side, they probably just warmed up, I'm guessing. So no Bedard is tough. I think I might want to change off of Levshinov here, so that's pretty annoying to do while talking.
You want
But
me
we
to
also
talk?
do not get Edmonton lines, which is very fun. So we're expecting them to
They,
remain the same though.
yeah, they were the same in practice, or well, I mean, at least their beat reporters posted them, so I'm not that worried about Edmonton lineup changing. And like even more so than I'm not afraid of Edmonton. I'm not worried about it. I'm not afraid of it changing because the same five guys are on the ice for 80% of the game and in all of the opportunity to score goals. So I unless if there's a piece that you're thinking is like a value around it that you're worried about or not worried about, but hoping gets in. Are you laughing at something important?
No, I'm laughing at the team I just clicked because it all fits. I sat here earlier with LaFerriere, Kempe, Clark, and I'm like, do I play Jeff Malott? Like, I don't need to. But now I'm like, well, actually, I can get up to Zach Hyman in this team with McDavid if I do. So I'm playing Jeff Malott and Louis Crevier. So R.I.P.
I
me.
pray for you.
Very fun.
Yeah, I mean this team is like it's a two-headed monster, and there's pieces around it, and we know exactly who they are. Like it's a back-to-back, but I'm not really that like I'm not afraid of Nashville if that's what you think. Is there any? Let me see. Did it happen again? I know there was like this long-standing, like never-ending narrative that every single time Draisaitl plays Nashville, yeah, he had 3 points last time again. So, like, remember we talked about this. Remember, like,
Yeah, you said something. Yeah,
it's like a thing now. I don't know if I started this or not, but like maybe I did. Maybe someone else said it, and I kind of just went deeper in the weeds on it. I don't know. I'm not going to give myself all the credit, but like
yeah.
every time he plays Nashville, it is just a 30 burger. Where I mean, he only had 26 last time. My mistake, but it is interesting. I mean, if nothing more.
Absolute tomfoolery. All right, the Nashville side. All that's really interesting here is Howla and O'Reilly flip flopped. Oh, actually, sorry, I should have mentioned for Edmonton. I am expecting Jake Wallman to be ready for this one. He traveled with them. They've been talking about him for like a week now. So I would not be shocked if Jake Wallman drew in alongside Darnell Nurse here. If that happens, he is. Let's find out. 3,400. That would be a great price for a full go Jake Wallman. So just keep your ear to the ground and see if we can pick up on anything on Tuesday. All right, let's get to Nashville. Stamkos, Howla, Forsberg, Evangelista, O'Reilly, Michael Bunting. O'Reilly keeps the power play one job, so it's no longer a clean power play one stack, but I kind of like Ryan O'Reilly. He's been just solid, and the fact that they're scoring means that he actually gets points now. And he's always on the ice, he's always involved, so like that's reliable in my opinion. And Evangelista is fine too. So 9,100 for that makes a McDavid play a little more palatable if you're just getting some value and making this a crazy game stack. They went 12-6 last game, and Matthew Wood drew back in. So he didn't do much. He didn't play much, but he's minimum salary with the power play 2 job at the very least. Any Nashville thoughts?
Stamkos continues to be awesome. I mean, I think if you're building around Edmonton, like you might want to consider him on the other side, continuing to shoot, continuing to be the guy in the power play they want to feed. That seems very useful. Roman Josi finally had the game I've been waiting for all season long. 24 and a half, finally reaches his, maybe the first time all year, reaches his salary expectation. Breaks it, right? Gets to a point where he's useful. Not sure if I want to go back to it, but I do think that like you could convince me that Edmonton on a back-to-back is targetable, and the pieces are pretty cheap here. And more so that helps to get McDavid to the absolute ceiling, which is, I think, 102 DraftKings points. So, yeah, I like the idea of even if you say, like, I'm just playing McDavid, maybe no one else, and going with a couple Nashville guys, maybe even McDavid and, like, Bouchard. I don't know. I mean, playing McDavid and Draisaitl would be sick, but really hard to do.
Yep. All makes sense. All of it looking okay given the context of the slate. So, Nashville looks fine. Edmonton looks pretty good. There's only a couple games with all green. It's literally just 2. It's this game that we're talking about, and then the last game of the night, Dallas and Anaheim, which we will talk through in just a moment. So let's get through the final 3 games. Islanders, Winnipeg. Islanders going Lee Barzell, Duclair, Druin, Richie, Heineman. Holmstrom, Pajot, Shabanov, McLean, Zikas, Gatcomb. That's from practice today. So expecting Druin, Ritchie, Heineman to all be power play 1 for 9.8K as a stack. I don't know if they'll be owned, honestly, but they're against Winnipeg, the worst team in the league, but also one of the better defensive teams in the league, if you believe like fancy stats. So it's a little tough to tell what to expect here, but especially if they're missing matchup minutes with Kyle Connor, then like, yeah, they get Jonathan Toews to feast on. Any interest in a very, very cheap Islanders 2 power play stack?
God. I feel like I have to on this slate, like, because I really want to spend up. I mean, I don't think it's going to be owned. I mean, there's a lot of very, very, very good expensive pieces. Yeah, I did see that. Very funny from the DGen. But I respect Winnipeg. I think is really the problem overall. Like, this skid is going to end, and it's kind of already starting to turn. I mean, at least they won a game finally. I'll probably give this a good look. I just worry about the usage in general. Like, are they really going to just go out there and play Ritchie, Druin, and Heineman for a ton of minutes, or is Duclair really not going to be the top line guy? Heineman's going to mix in, Holmstrom's going to play a ton, Pajot's going to play a ton, and you're kind of sitting there at the end of the night with like, well, Cal Ritchie has a ton of talent, but he played 12 minutes. Like, are they actually going to correlate for a bunch of goals? Like, I don't know. I mean, they kind of. I worry that it's much more fragile than a lot of other stuff, and
the Heineman of it all makes it very interesting because we know Heineman's
they just play him, yeah.
We know they use him. We know he kills penalties. Like they trust him. They trust Holmstrom, Pajot too. So it's not like, oh well, there's no one else besides Barzal in the lineup. But I don't hate the idea. If you like, you can't go Drew and Ritchie and then say, okay, I'm good. Like that's I think stupid. But if you were to go, Heineman Ritchie or Heineman Druin or all three of them, I think that makes more sense. And honestly, I'll play around with it if it can get me J Rob and McDavid or Kucherov, but probably McDavid and J Rob. If it can do that, then I might play around with especially Ritchie Heineman, just given my general tenor on Cal Ritchie as a prospect, and then Heineman is quite strong. And honestly, it's probably better than the Winnipeg shit that I've been touting for, a couple weeks now. And let's just get to them because we're back at it again with some cheap shit that somehow might get there. So Winnipeg, Connor, Scheifele, Iafallo, Perfetti, Toews, Velarde, Nemestikov, Lowry, Niederreiter, Pearson, Zilkin, and Kepke. I did not look up Zilkin's first name. I am so sorry to you, sir, but I'm sure it's wonderful. Toews, Velarde, power play 1 with Connor Scheifele. Toews is 3,100. So this second line at 12.1K is quite interesting to me. I was the idiot who actually got the Jonathan Toews goal bet, but on the score, I'm like, well, you need the stupid 3-legger SGP for the same boost that DJ seems to hit all the time. So I'm like, let's go Perfetti and Velarde assists. Perfetti gets 2 assists, Velarde scores a goal, and I don't get an assist. And so it loses, but it was like 25-1. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that one again here because that line does look pretty good. Toews is on the top power play, so it's like, yeah, he sucks, but like Perfetti and Velarde are really good. So you just kind of got to believe at some point. So I do like this cheap line, probably more than Islanders too, but also Winnipeg is cursed and can't score. So you have that. Any thoughts from you here?
I think I like this more than the average bear, and I really am considering both sides of the coin as you're already sort of going to. Like, the second line is actually the cheap line I feel like has staying power. And there is a added bit of Velarde's 5,500, but he's also, I think, a significantly better player than really anyone outside of Heineman on the Islanders second line. So I like that one a lot. I think the upside in Kyle Connor is very high and he's expensive, but it's been warranted. Like, this game is interesting. The Islanders are missing some major pieces. Winnipeg has started to round back into form, as I've already alluded to, and it just hasn't been rewarded. But like, could it come all at once? Could it come together in either way? And if it does, I feel like you could get value on this and play Kyle Connor still, to really make it something special. So I do like this. I'm not going to say
Here's
the most on the slate, but it's pretty solid.
Here's some stats on the game. It is like so on a pace perspective, meaning the entire game. It is fifth in expected goals. It is tied for second in actual goals at 5-on-5, and it's down there in the Corsi pace. It's seventh or eighth, but these teams I guess have been scoring a bit, and they've been allowing goals against. So you could see a bit of a donkey fest breakout, and there is value on both sides to attack if you want to do so.
Value in donkeys. Never forget that.
Colin Miller got hurt. I'm not sure if Luke Shen's available, but I think that's the guy. But yeah, keep an eye out for Winnipeg defense nonsense. All right, Toronto and Utah. Knies, Matthews, Domi, Michelli, Tavares, Nylander, Cowan, Waugh, Robertson, Lorentz, Lawton, McMahon. This is before they inevitably lose 7-2 to Nate McKinnon and friends. So keep an eye out for that. Nyes, Matthews, Michelli, Nylander was power play 1 last game. I did not see a morning skate power play. Maybe I just missed it, but noteworthy, Tavares was not power play 1. So we'll see how long that lasts. But any Toronto thoughts on a back-to-back heading into Utah?
Yeah, the back-to-back of it all is pretty concerning. I mean, it's if I'm playing Matthews, I'm just playing Nylander. I understand that they're not 5-on-5 correlated exactly, but they will play together if they need to, and they will be together on the power play, and they are the entirety of the offense, it feels like right now. Nylander only played 13 minutes last game, and he still had 3 points against Vancouver, and then part of that was just the fact that they were absolutely destroying them, so why keep playing him after coming back from injury? But that's seemingly keeping his price and everything else down a bit. So I'm willing to take advantage of that and go after it here. Utah doesn't really scare me a ton, so that's how I would do it. And maybe Nyes if I can afford it, maybe Morgan Riley, but I think it's a little bit less necessary. Maybe punt defense to try to get into Nyes rather than force in Morgan Riley, but that's how I would do it. I don't think it's a favorite. I think I'd rather play Winnipeg, sadly. So there's that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, Utah's done some weirdness. I'm not sure if Sean Dursey plays, so there are outs, I think, to saying, oh, well, actually, Utah's really fucking it up. So, Utah's in the Giga Jam spot. But I would, again, love to see Bobby McMahon on the top line with Matthews. He's been awesome, but I can't pay 18.4K for Nyes, Matthews, Domi. Then yeah, if you're playing Matthews as a one-off, great. I think McDavid's better. I think J-Rob's better. So we'll see. We'll see though. Ownership and everything else, how that could shake out. They could come out against Colorado and look legitimately awesome. I mean, that is in the bag for this Toronto team. Though also in the bag is a whole lot of bad. So we'll see. But some things I'm looking for are McMahon and Tavares on the power play. But everything else is pretty much whatever. It's just Austin Matthews or, log out. So the Utah side, they switched up the middle six in practice. So Keller, Schmaltz, Krause stayed the same. Peterka, Hayton, and Daniil Boot was the second line with Carconi, McBain, Gunther on line 3. Gunther on line 3 is not great, but Jack McBain is kind of a sneaky dude. He was great in college. He was a guy, he came out and we were kind of interested in him whenever he got elevated minutes. And Michael Carconi, we know, is DFS viability in a small package. But that line is 13.5K against a Toronto team that probably just got the shit kicked out of them by Colorado, and it is starting their backup goalie in Hildeby. So that third line is kind of interesting to me. And I mean, it's going to be 1% owned, in my opinion. Dylan Gunther, 7,700. Who the hell is clicking that on the third line here?
Yeah, nobody. I agree. I mean, and I think, again, I think sometimes it's is he a third liner or is he on the third line? You know what I mean? Is he play and again, I'm not saying that Dylan Gunther couldn't get in the doghouse, but he's still playing basically the same role. I'm intrigued by that for sure. That's pretty cheap. I mean, you could play him as a one-off even. I'm fine with it. I like this Utah team just I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting here on Utah, but I'm fine with it. I just don't know if it's something I'm going to have, but I get what you're getting at.
Yeah.
We got
Certainly not a must play by any means, but you kind of got to get the tenor of what this Toronto team is, and maybe you'll be wrong, but that's sort of like one of those touchy feely things with Toronto that you never know what team you're going to get. And I don't know. I've never been a Keller Schmaltz type of guy, so paying $18K for that or $11K for Peterka Hayton Boot, which I guess you should consider. 22 expected fantasy points, but only 15 actuals. So maybe that line just places the third line, and Peterka doesn't drive anything on his own. So that's sort of my worry there. And Parconi, McBain, Gunther just feel like 3 DFS dudes on one line. And anyway, I will stop talking about that. Let's, Thursday is yellow. Thank you, because he missed practice.
Yep.
He's been dealing with an injury. He's missed a lot of morning skates and whatnot and still played, but that's why he's red or yellow. Just keep an eye out for him. Not sure if he's going to be available, but assume he is for now.
Okay.
Finally, we have Dallas.
Just in case, 2 minutes until NFL lock if you didn't get your lineup in.
I did, thank you. But
Yep.
Be on the lookout for some overlay.
There is a little bit. That's what I was just doing. Not a metric ton, but there is some.
Yeah.
Dallas. Double checking, but yeah.
Dallas plays in LA, so we don't even know what their current lineup is, let alone what Tuesday's lineup will be. But we did see Jamie Benn is back in, Nathan Bastian will play, and Alex Petrovich is in on Tuesday. So I'm not sure on Monday. I don't know if any of those will apply to Tuesday. I assume Jamie Benn will play on Tuesday. But the other two, who knows? Who cares? Steele, Johnson, Rantanen. Is it Matt Duchene? Who the hell knows? It could be Matt Duchene. I've seen now beat writers talk about Justin Ritzkovian on the top line, which, hey, I'm here for as long as it's not Jamie Benn. But, hey, it could be Jamie Benn too. Again, who the hell knows? Robertson, Hintz, Bork. Maybe that's where Jamie Benn goes. I don't know. Does anyone know anything? DJ, answer the question. No, we do not know anything. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, asking me if I know anything is a rare thing that most people don't come back from. I don't think I feel like it's important enough, but it's not so important that you're gonna, lose the slate over it. And also just how much is Jamie Benn? 3,800. Okay, so if you have 3,800 left at 10 o'clock, there is another player you could click on if Jamie Benn is not on the top line. I don't know if that's worth planning for, but also you could just not play any of these guys and you're probably fine. If you're playing Johnston Rantanen, I think you could get away with not having a guy that is not a major factor offensively, more so than anybody else. Like Sam Steele at the very least kills penalties and has an semblance of role. The rest don't really have a strong foothold on something, so they could really just crater in minutes a bit comparatively. I don't know. I mean, I just don't think it matters. The top 2 lines are the top 2 lines. I think 9K Jason Robertson's going to keep people away. It's a really, really good matchup. Anaheim gives up quite a bit defensively. They've been terrible as of late, and they will push the pace when they get down. They're banged up. They're missing. They're missing. Wait, what?
I was going to continue what you were saying there.
Oh, continue.
So we saw practice today with no Leo Carlson. We do not know what the situation is. He just straight up didn't practice. So the top line was Gauthier, McTavish, Granlund, which is interesting, though obviously Michael Granlund there is a bit of a downer. It was Killorn, Wash, and Seneca. Yes, Tim Wash, recent call-up. So I don't know if that's a placeholder for Leo or them just saying, hey, we have no answers. Let's just try something at center because it's not working. Kreider, Paling, Strome, Johnson, Harkins, Nestorenko, none of that's going to be relevant for fantasy. Still no Troy Terry. Defensively, it's either Hellison or Minchikov that's a scratch. My money's on Hellison. So
Shocked.
yeah, that's about the long and short of it. It's a mess. It's Dallas. Like even if Anaheim gets 28 shots off, Dallas is winning this 4-1, and I don't even know that Anaheim can do that. They've just been really brutal as of late. So anything from you here that stands out in the top 6?
It's really easy not to click on Anaheim here, and I'm not going to force it. Like, it's coming down in
Like
price. This isn't the spot to jump on it. Nobody
even
has been
if it
good. Yeah.
yeah, even if it's Leo Carlson, Kaloran Carlson, Seneca is 13K. Like I prefer the Winnipeg 2. I prefer I think I prefer Detroit or a similar price. Like the Larkin line was 13K, I think it was. Like that's I prefer those lines over trying to get the bounce back right for Leo. So that's top line. Let's see. How much is the top line? 15.4K. You can leave off Granlund and make it, a Lacombe or Minchikov stack. I don't know which one the power play is going to be with, honestly. Like, is it Lacombe? Is it Minchikov? Lacombe was actually great this past week. I think he had 4 games, 3 bonuses, and he had 2 assists in the other game. But he played like 18, 19 minutes in each game, which is interesting. I don't know how much that matters, but he's 5,100. I don't hate that idea if you're playing Cutter. They're just add in Lacombe and just, hope that the team figures it out. And McTavish has been good. That's about all I can say. All right,
Yep.
let's do top stacks, guarantee goals, and get out of here.
Okay. Not too difficult. Top stacks guaranteed. Actually, let me pull up the sheet. What did we have for Saturday? I guess actually, I think I wrote down.
Antonin scored. You had Chinikov. I think he also scored. Very different degrees of difficulty.
Yeah, I didn't write them all down, but those two, and then I don't remember the. Oh wait, actually, these might have been right. Stamkos, Bouchard, Michkov, Linus Carlson. I feel like that doesn't make sense though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that
okay,
sounds right.
I just don't know who had who. I think I had Michkov. No, I had Stamkos, Bouchard. How did you have?
We did the stupid thing where you have
Oh,
to
the
make super
odds,
long
the
odds
odds,
or
the odds,
something.
the
So
odds, the
we
odds.
just
Okay, that's right. Okay, let's just what we did great. Everyone loved it. We had a lot of fun. My game stacks were one was really good, one was really bad, and yours was one was really good, one was
great.
I don't remember what Philly one did, but I think bad. Okay, terrible it was. Do you want to start with your first stack?
First stack. I mean, I want to know what Columbus is doing against Calgary because we simply don't know, I'm not going to use them. I'm gonna go Utah. That third line, just keep it spicy. So that third line is McBain between Carconi and Dylan Gunther. Yeah, seems like fun.
Okay, Utah 3. That's an interesting and fun exercise in science. I am going to go back to early-ish on and do Ottawa 2. I'm going to do Cousins, Brady, and I'll do Giroux. I mean, I think Sanderson fits too, but I'm just going to do Ottawa 2. Be a giga donkey.
All right, let's react to some live news. Shams in the chat helping us out. Point scored, got hurt, knee twisted underneath him, had to be helped off. Seems bad. Doubt he plays in a back-to-back situation. That's a big deal. I'm not sure how big of a deal defensively that is. But let's go to the Pittsburgh side and do Raquel, Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Even if they don't play together, they're all together on the power play. So that's my Pittsburgh react to live news stack of the night.
React and win. I'm gonna go back to Winnipeg 2. Like, just at some point, Taves, Perfetti, and Gabe Velarde could get you home. I probably just end up including Kyle Connor in it and just going game stack with Winnipeg. I mean, who's to say? But I'll go Winnipeg 2, Ottawa 2. It'll be fun, they say.
All right. Do you have guarantee goals?
I could get guaranteed goals. I mean, it's not too hard. I will start it off with drum roll, please. And I am going to go with, after all of this, No, I don't have anyone. Do you have anyone?
I'm gonna go Dylan Larkin, 6,700.
I like Larkin. You're 6,700. I will go. I'm thinking someone on Columbus, but I think I'm going to end up right in your range if I go Marchenko, aren't I? No, I'll go Marchenko, 6,100.
Okay, I'm going to take Emil Heineman for my second guaranteed goal here. 3,900 gets me to like what 10.7K or something. So you have plenty of runway above that to pick your second one.
Thank you for leaving me some runway. All games, I got 4,200 or something, I think. 48. Yeah, 4,800. And 4,800 is leaving me just enough. Yeah, I think I'll be smart. I'll go Jake DeBrusk.
Okay.
He is averaging almost an expected goal per game over the last 5, I believe. Like something ridiculous.
He's been crazy good.
Yeah, he's been crazy good.
I mean, we're just getting live stuff, out of our nostrils, but somehow Montreal just scored a goal on the power play 4 seconds in. Dobson from Suzuki. So is Dobson power play 1? It was a 5-on-4. So be on the lookout, people. There's lots of stuff changing here on Tuesday. Obviously, we can't cover it all, but you got to stay on top of the stuff from Monday and account for the back-to-backs. So hope you all enjoyed. DJ, any final thoughts before we head into our Tuesdays?
No, not really. I'd say go Sabres, but they're losing, so I won't. Just, you know what? Have fun. We are less than a month away from the Olympics, so there may be more interesting stuff as like now there's injuries that might factor in and like players that are going for that last spot on Canada and USA that could open up.
Alrighty, yeah, and we'll be here to continue talking about the extremely niche sport of DFS NHL, and we'll leave the Olympics to the nerds out there. So, and also in the Discord where that stuff comes up constantly. But that'll do it from us. Thank you all for listening. You can find me on Twitter at Fake Moods, DJs at DJ_Mitchell94. Also subscribe to my newsletter, moods.bf.com. I was sick last week, so no newsletter, but should be good to go for Friday, as long as it's not like a 19-game slate. And yeah, that'll do it for me. So thank you all for listening. From Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.
You're saying they're looking like an idiot.
Well, is that any different than normal?
This is the first time I will admit was unbelievably wrong.